Two of the mountain men guys came up to him and were aggressing on him. Then one of them ran back to his vehicle and grabbed an AR and came back with an AR in his hand, and Rick had the draw on him. And then those two of them ran off. That was this close to him having to shoot that ding-a-ling.
He was that close to having to shoot that ding-a-ling. And that is what Cliven Bundy's neighbors are so worried about now. A stranger deciding they have to shoot somebody, maybe another armed stranger who came to Nevada in the hopes of taking part in the great fantasy uprising against the tyrannical government, or maybe just a local resident who didn't know what to make of these armed outsiders reportedly setting up checkpoints and stopping some local residents on their way home from work, asking for proof of residency. This is happening in Nevada. Not some other country that's at war. That's happening here. Joining us now is Congressman Steven Horsford. He represents Nevada's 4th District, including the Bundy Ranch. Congressman Horsford, thanks very much for being here. It's nice to have you here.
Thank you, Rachel.
So what are your constituents telling you about their interactions with these separatist guys? I mean, from a national perspective, I have to admit, I assumed they would leave once their fantasy standoff was over.
Well, we thought they would leave as well, Rachel, and that's what the residents who live in Bunkerville and the surrounding communities want. They want these separatists, these armed separatists from outside of the state to leave. And we're calling on the governor, Senator Heller, and others who made Cliven Bundy out to be a patriot to stand with the residents who feel very intimidated by the situation. Local businesses are being impacted by the loss of revenue. People don't feel safe, and it's totally unacceptable, and it's time for these armed separatists to leave our state.
In terms of what they are describing in their infighting, which, I mean, on the one hand, it is hard not to laugh at them because they take themselves so seriously and they're so clearly living in a fantasy world. On the other hand, what they are describing in some cases are crimes, at least on the videotape that was posted that we showed a clip of before. They're describing an assault. People pointing weapons at one another in a threatening way in itself is a crime in most circumstances. When you sent a letter to the Clark County Sheriff expressing those concerns, including about this potential criminal behavior, has he responded yet? Do you expect him to?
He has responded, indicating that there is an investigation based on the concerns of residents who contacted my office about this. And it's not just the checkpoints. It's also the fact that the separatist groups themselves said, quote, "We're not to pull people over unless we have probable cause." You don't have the authority to pull anybody over. You are not law enforcement, and it's why we need you to leave our community. You're not providing public safety. In fact, you're posing a threat to safety.
In terms of wanting them to leave, it sounds like that's what your constituents are suggesting most pressingly. How do you think that happens? Obviously, it is a free country, and they can be where they want to be as long as they're within the law. What do you anticipate might be the best strategy at just getting them to go home?
Well, I think the best strategy at this point is for every elected official in our state, from the governor, Senator Heller on down, to join, to be united, to stand with the residents of Bunkerville, the overwhelming majority who do not want these armed separatists in their community. This is a community of about 1,200 people. They're law-abiding. They're concerned about their community, their children. They do not want these people who have ulterior motives in their community any longer. They want to return to normal, and we need elected officials to be united and send a united message that it's time for them to leave.
Congressman Steven Horsford of Nevada, who represents the area that includes the Bundy Ranch and the surrounding towns that incredibly are still dealing with an armed militiaman hangover from this story. Good luck to you, sir. Thanks for being with us to help us understand.
Thank you, Rachel.
I appreciate it. All right. I should mention that Cliven Bundy himself is now asking supporters to file criminal complaints against people they believe have acted illegally during this standoff. See if that happens. All right. Still coming up.